Hello, dear friends. New data about the latest negotiation on Jupiter with the Galactic Federation. Opinion piece. Did Bezos, Musk, and Branson travel to Jupiter? Were they involved in negotiations with the Federation? Elena Danaan answers that all of them and many others attended. Thousands of US citizens remain in Afghanistan. Billions of Afghan reserves frozen in the US. Taliban fire on peaceful protesters in Jalalabad. Taliban leaders fail to control their guerrilla gangs. Arab Emirates provides asylum to Afghanistan's former president. Hackers steal data of 40 million people. Mexican congressman proposes to invade Spain and take them to the Republic. Let's start. Did Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Richard Branson, and other pioneering aerospace CEOs secretly travel to the planet Jupiter to participate in negotiations with the Galactic Federation? This is the question asked by Dr. Michael Salla in an article he has just published in collaboration with the French archaeologist Elena Danaan. On July 23rd, Elon Musk announced that SpaceX received the highly priced contract to launch NASA's Europe Clipper mission to Jupiter by 2024. A week ago, Dr. Salla reported on Elena Danaan's revelation that a series of secret meetings took place in a floating city in Jupiter's upper atmosphere in mid-July. Her main contact, Torhan Eridion, told her that the meetings were attended by top officials from 40 nations with space programs, as well as CEOs of progressive corporations, to meet with representatives of the Galactic Federation of Inhabited Worlds and other galactic organizations. In addition, Dr. Salla had speculated that CEOs of progressive corporations, like included Bezos and Branson, whose trips to edge of space coincided with the alleged time of the Jupiter meetings. In addition, she speculated that Elon Musk has attended because of a SpaceX announcement that he had been awarded the Europe Clipper meetings. Mrs. Danaan confirmed this speculation to Dr. Salla when she said they all attended and many more. Torhan said they had spent many hours in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter negotiating the future of our solar system. Background. The million-dollar question is why three CEOs with questionable backgrounds participated in the Jupiter meetings. Torhan's answer suggests that there is a dire contingency on the horizon that makes it necessary for the Federation to work with them for the greater good of humankind. Ben Davidson, the founder of Space Weather News, has warned for several years about evidence that the micronova event would happen at the end of this decade or early next decade. Corey Good has warned since 2015 that a solar flare event is predicted in the near future. Torhan acknowledges that Musk, Bezos, Branson, and other CEOs at Jupiter meetings previously collaborated with the dark side. However, with the imminent defeat of the sinister power and its space allies, the Dark Fleet, Draco Empire, and Orion Alliance, Musk, Bezos, and Branson have been realigned. Therefore, they have been given a second chance. The advantage of the Jupiter agreements is that humankind is being aided by a positive partnership by Galactic Federation of Inhabited Worlds, working simultaneously with national governments, militaries, and the select aerospace corporations to prepare humanity for a Star Trek-type future. Gold asteroid. NASA is planning a mission to explore the asteroid Psyche 16, located between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter, which is supposed to contain massive amounts of precious minerals. The so-called trillion-dollar asteroid reportedly has so much gold and other precious metals that mining it could make everyone a billionaire. However, it could also render precious metal useless, leading to a possible collapse of the world economy. Mexico. Mexican company denounces that Elon Musk is trying to take away the use of one of its trademarks. Mexican company Star Group has denounced on Monday the attempts of Elon Musk's company SpaceX to strip it of its Starlink trademark with the complicity of certain judges in the country, local media report. Mexico prepares for the arrival of Hurricane Grace. Hurricane Grace is heading towards the Mexican Yucatan Peninsula on Wednesday afternoon, with maximum sustained winds of 120 kilometers per hour. It will enter the coast of the state of Quintana Roo during the early hours of Thursday, August 19th. Mexican congressman proposes to invade Spain and take the republic to them. Rubén Ríos Uribe, local congressman of the Veracruz Congress for Morena, caused controversy in social networks after he criticized the government of Spain for maintaining a monarchy in the middle of the 21st century. In addition, he proposed to invade the European country. The first plane to evacuate the Spanish colony in Afghanistan flies to Madrid. The A400 aircraft of the armed forces took off from the airport of the Afghan capital with 53 people on board to Dubai, where a second plane is waiting to receive permission from Kabul airport and pick up another part of the Spanish colony and the Afghan citizens with whom the embassy or missions in the country were working. Thousands of Argentines protest in demand for jobs. Tens of thousands of people demonstrated Wednesday in protest in downtown Buenos Aires and other parts of the country to demand the creation of jobs amid a harsh economic crisis and rising poverty. Cuban government announces controversial cybersecurity law. The Cuban government has announced a new cybersecurity regulation that considers it a highly dangerous incident to publish content considered subversive on the internet. The authorities do not want other countries to interfere in their affairs and contest their policies. Fire. Europe succumbs to the effects of the weather. In France, firefighters are trying to control a fire in the Var department, which has already reduced more than 4,000 hectares to ashes and forced the evacuation of around 10,000 people. In Salzburg, Austria, several roads and the railroad line through the town of Wald in Pinzgau have been destroyed by border and landslides. Members of the army are helping to clear the area with heavy machinery. In northern Germany, strong winds caused extensive damage in the East Friesland region of Lower Saxony and caused severe damage to dozens of houses. Greek firefighters battle growing wildfire near Athens. Greek firefighters battled a wildfire Wednesday that swept through one of the last remaining pine forests near Athens and said homes could be at risk. Strong gusts, arid conditions spark California wildfires. Shifting winds and bone-dry conditions fueled two of California's largest wildfires Wednesday, forcing the evacuation of several rural communities. A study finds some may be behind climate change. The sun may be the main cause of warmer temperatures in recent decades, according to a new study that contradicts official conclusions. Finance. Stocks plummet. Stocks fell as the Federal Reserve signaled that a decision could be made on a reduction of its bond buying program in 2021. Treasuries and the dollar were little changed. Gold stabilizes. Gold prices stabilized as investors remained on the sidelines ahead of the release of the minutes from the Federal Reserve's latest meeting. Gold prices edged lower on Tuesday, missing a key resistance. The downward movement in the yellow metal was due to gains in the dollar. Platinum versus palladium. A rally in palladium that has tripled in value since mid-2018 appears to be nearing to an end as demand from automakers has shifted toward platinum. Technological advances have led many car makers to opt for platinum because it is much cheaper, rather than palladium, for use in catalytic converters that reduce pollution from gasoline used by automobiles. Fed to cut bond purchases this year. Most of the Federal Reserve's policymakers are coalescing around the plan to trim its bond buying program later this year and reduce purchases of Treasury and mortgage-backed securities. A split at the Fed over tapering bond purchases. Fed officials felt the central bank's employment benchmark could be reached this year to reduce its support for the economy, but they don't seem to agree on other key aspects of where monetary policy should turn. Treasury bond speculation. Max Keither and Stacey Herbert note how bonds have gone from being an asset to a liability, as negative yields mean they no longer serve as savings for holders, but have become pure speculation. Housing construction stumbles as supplies tighten. Home construction fell more than expected in July, the latest sign that rising construction costs and home prices continue to restrain the market early in the third quarter. The dollar will not last forever. The Federal Reserve and the central banks that follow Chairman Powell have flooded the world with promissory notes that are limited only by the imagination of Keynesians and modern monetary theorists. In this wave of metaphorical impressions, one country, Russia, has loaded its central bank balance sheet not with the speculation du jour, Bitcoin, but with the barbaric relic of gold. Russians swap dollar for euro. Russians have been increasingly interested in getting rid of their dollar savings, with sales up to 10% compared to last year, while purchases of US currency declined 24% in January-June 2021. The situation was reversed with the euro, with Russians selling it 22% less than in 2020 and buying it 29% more. Cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is the queen of cryptocurrencies, but Ethereum's rise seems unstoppable. Ethereum will continue to outperform Bitcoin in 2021 and ultimately surpass the value of its rival, wrote Nigel Green, CEO and founder of Bear Group, a large financial advisory and asset management firm. Bloomberg analyst uncovers the creator of Bitcoin. Bloomberg analyst Eric Balchunas has revealed the identity of the would-be creator of Bitcoin. In a tweet published last Sunday, Balchunas assures that the cryptocurrency was the work of the American computer programmer Hal Finney, no Satoshi Nakamoto. Hacker who stole and returned $600 million from crypto platform offered job as senior security advisor. The Poly Network platform, which was recently hit for a $611 million crypto heist, asked the hacker behind the attack to work as a security advisor for the company. The world's top ransomware hunter lives in isolation surrounded by cameras in a secret location in the UK because of the threats he received daily from cybercriminal mobs. Fabian Wasser is known for breaking the encryption used by criminals to take over the computer systems known as ransomware attacks. Hacker steal data of 40 million people. T-Mobile US Inc. said Wednesday that an investigation into data breach revealed that personal data, including social security numbers and driver's license information of more than 40 million former and potential customers, was stolen. Afghanistan. Billions in Afghan reserves frozen in the US. After handing the Taliban military hardware provided by the US on a silver platter, thanks to the failed withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Biden administration rushed to deprive the Islamist organization of funding, freezing Afghan government reserves in bank accounts or blocking the Taliban's access to billions of dollars in US institutions. Afghanistan is broke. Afghanistan's foreign currency reserves are mainly held in foreign accounts that are likely to be inaccessible to the Taliban rulers, leaving the country desperately low on dollars, said Ahmad Ahmadi, who headed the central bank until the capture of Kabul. IMF suspends Afghanistan's access to fund resources. The International Monetary Fund said Wednesday that Afghanistan will not be able to access IMF resources, including a new allocation of special drawing rights reserves due to a lack of clarity over the recognition of its government following the capture of Kabul. There will be no democratic system in Afghanistan. In quotes, there will be no democratic system because it has no basis in our country, said a Taliban chief. We will not discuss what kind of political system we should apply, all of this in quotes. We should apply in Afghanistan because it is clear. It is Sharia law and that is it. The official added. The country could be ruled by a ruling council and the group's supreme commander. Anti-Taliban protests in Jalalabad, several people were killed and more than a dozen injured in anti-Taliban protests in the Afghan city of Jalalabad on Wednesday, as the militant group advanced to consolidate Islamist rule. Taliban shoot protesters, beat journalists in Jalalabad. A video posted Wednesday by PAFWOK, Afghan news agency, on its Twitter account, shows a group of Taliban firing at protesters and beating some journalists in Jalalabad city in Afghanistan's Nangarhar province. Afghan women should be shout for help to soldiers. A video of desperate Afghan women shouting for help to US soldiers near the Wyatt entrance to Kabul International Airport has gone viral on social media. Hundreds of people gathered in Barcelona in support of Afghan women. Hundreds of people gathered in the Sant Jaume Square in Barcelona in solidarity with the girls and women of Afghanistan and in defense of their rights. United Arab Emirates provides asylum to the President of Afghanistan. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the United Arab Emirates communicated that the Afghan President Ashraf Ghani and his family are in that Arab country. USA. Taliban threat. The US must completely withdraw troops by September 11. A Taliban spokesman warned that the US troops in Afghanistan must leave before September 11 after troops were redeployed to Kabul airport to oversee an evacuation. Suhail Shaheen, a member of the Taliban's political bureau, told Sky News on Tuesday that, in quotes, "we are committed not to attack them, but stressed that they must leave by that date. It is unclear what will happen if US forces remain in Afghanistan after September 11th. Chaos makes it almost impossible to access evacuation flights in Kabul. Shots in the air, smoke, deterrent explosions. This is how the security forces respond to the attempt of thousands of Afghans, including children, to access the Kabul airport to live on an evacuation flight where chaos and lack of organization make it almost impossible to enter the enclosure, including for those who have been summoned by the embassies. No way to withdraw troops without chaos. President Biden said there was no way to leave Afghanistan without chaos in an interview with George Stephanopoulos. Troops will stay in Afghanistan to evacuate Americans. President Biden said he's committed to keeping troops in Afghanistan until all Americans are evacuated, even if he has to maintain a military presence there beyond the August 31st deadline for withdrawal. Some 40,000 US citizens remain in Afghanistan but have been told that we cannot guarantee their safety. Biden ordered the military to prepare its US bases for more than 30,000 Afghan refugees at a cost of $500 million. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan admitted that a large amount of weapons fell into the hands of the Taliban. US hopes Taliban will allow evacuation. A senior US diplomat said Wednesday that the US hopes the Taliban will allow Afghans wishing to leave Afghanistan to depart safely after reports that the group now in control of the country was blocking access to the airport. No one could have predicted that the Afghan government would fall in 11 days. General Mark Milley said there was no intelligence information about the imminent collapse of the Afghan army. In quotes, there was nothing that I or anyone else knew that gave any indication of the collapse of this army and this government in 11 days, said Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is like the Bay of Pigs, Bahía de Cochinos. Leon Panetta, former Obama administration Defense Department secretary and CIA director, said that after the collapse of Afghanistan's government and military US credibility on the world stage has taken a significant hit. Panetta criticized the withdrawal from Afghanistan, comparing it to the failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion via the Cochinos invasion in 1961. No evacuation from Kabul. No mass evacuation from Kabul is currently underway, nor have more than a handful of US coalition aircraft landed in the last 24 hours. Clearly, something is very wrong. This is a hostage situation. More than 10,000 US citizens have no viable way to get out of the place where they are sheltering and make their way to the airport to be evacuated. The Taliban are blocking and detaining people. I fear that thousands of people could be massacred in the name of Allah. Taliban leaders do not control their fighters. They operate in gangs and fight for real estate and power. The US State Department accuses the Taliban of violating its promises on access to Kabul airport. According to Navy SEAL Michael Yako, the collapse of Afghanistan would be the first domino. Next would be Iraq, Taiwan, and Korea. Europe. Taliban support UK evacuation plans. Britain is working with the Taliban in Kabul at a tactical and practical level to evacuate eligible citizens and Afghans, the British ambassador to Afghanistan said, adding that the evacuation program would last days, not weeks. British lawmakers condemned PM Johnson, President Biden over Afghanistan. British lawmakers expressed anger Wednesday at Prime Minister Boris Johnson and President Biden over the collapse of Afghanistan at the hands of the Taliban, calling it a lack of intelligence, leadership and moral duty. European Union says it will work with Taliban only if human rights are respected. The European Union will only cooperate with the Taliban if they respect fundamental rights, including those of women, and prevent the use of Afghanistan's territory by terrorists, the bloc's foreign policy chief said Tuesday. Haitians impatient for Quake aid. A hungry crowd gathered outside an airport in southern Haiti on Wednesday as people left homeless by an earthquake that killed some 2,000 people, expressed anger that government aid was slow to arrive 5 days later after the disaster, leaving many without food and water. Anonymous. The Lord told me to tell them I am coming soon. The other night I asked the Lord what he wanted me to do or share with his people. He said, tell them I am coming soon. I asked for confirmation, and again he said, tell them I am coming soon. For the third time I asked, and he repeated, tell them I am coming soon. Be ready for his coming soon. Come soon, my Lord. Thanks a lot.